H2H. We got the divisional round of the playoffs here in the NFL. Tasos and I battle it out each and every week on this show. Now, it's a little bit different because Tasos has mathematically eliminated me from the equation. He takes the dub last week. A bad week from both of us in terms of picks on the show. But hey, it's the way it works. We tell you guys from the beginning, right? These aren't like our favorite picks in the entire world. Sometimes they are, but we're at mercy of the wheel, and it's more or less a competition between the two of us. And Tasos, you took me down last week, meaning you have now clinched the dub for season 1 of H2H. So congratulations. We'll keep rocking with the show throughout the playoffs and whatnot, just, for fun, I guess, at this point. But congratulations.
Thank you, Ev. I decided pre-show, I just told you actually right before we started recording, I'm going to save the big victory lap and the crowning ceremony and all that for the last video of the season. I'm not going to because we still have a few weeks left, and I know I already won.
Some,
I'm already the
tampering
champion.
Investigations and whatnot. Like, you never really know.
Sure.
There's still time that, we could figure something out. I'm like, oh, you've been cheating.
Well, I don't know about that, because you did give me... How many Packers fade me picks did you give me that helped me win? So you gave me a lot of win, including this week. You gave me the win by taking the. By the way, what a jinx job by myself at the end of last week's video, saying let's go for 7 catches, and he finished with just 3. Just missed it by 1 reception.
And he got Dalton Kincaid. He got 6 targets, like exactly what I wanted. Yep. You know what I mean? And yeah, that's tough. But nonetheless, I appreciate you saving your victory lap. But it's almost like this looming cloud over me now. Now I'm waiting for this. And you guys know, if you've been watching all season long, this is going to be a victory lap of victory lap. So you probably just ordered the confetti on Amazon, so it hasn't come in time. That's why you don't want to do it today.
It's funny you said that, because I may or may not have purchased a few props for my victory lap. So we'll see. You'll get a chance to see it the last video of the season, so make sure you guys subscribe. We are close to 50,000 subscribers. We're a little more than 500 away, so make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can see me the last video of the season just absolutely dancing on Ed's grave.
Yeah, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, guys. Comment what you've thought of the show this year. Like I said, it seems like it's over. We're still doing it. It's going to be less, I guess, meaningful, but we're still going to be giving picks and whatnot, which is essentially what you guys care for anyways. But yeah, if you don't know how the show works, we pop a wheel up on the screen, which you'll see in just a second. We go round by round, and the wheel determines what types of picks we give: player props, money line, spread, etc. And then we have a fade me round at the end, which is probably one of our favorite things of the show, except that one dweeb in the beginning of the year that was like, that fade me round is stupid. The only negative feedback we got of it, but it sticks in my head. So let's go ahead and jump into the wheel here, Tasos. And I guess, you took the dub, so it probably doesn't even matter to you if you go first, you go last. But do you want to go first here after clinching?
Listen, as the champ, it really doesn't matter to me. The world's my oyster, Ev. I feel good. It's anything that happens.
Let's not forget you're 1-10 in your last 5 somehow.
I mean, yeah, it's not. It had actually. I got really cold here. But yeah. You know what? Actually, that's going to help me out here, because now I don't have the weight of this collapse on my shoulders anymore.
True. That's true. And the only reason you won last week is because I was even colder. You know what I mean? I appreciate you not taking a victory lap after that week, I guess. But all right, let's spin it.
Listen, when the Browns get beat 45-14, and then, that was one of I was very confident in that. Oh, it's going to be me.
Yep.
Go figure. Now the wheel gods are back in my favor.
All right, Tasos, you're leading it off. Now let's jump up or pop up the prop, spread, money line, total wheel. So we have one slice of each for this week. Again, guys, we're just doing 2 rounds and a fade me because of the limit of games. Even this could get a little dicey with the options on the board. But nonetheless, we're at mercy of the wheels. Let's spin it.
Last week was tricky, and we had more. I think we had more games last week, right?
Yep, definitely. Total, okay.
Oh boy. All right.
Okay. How do you feel about total?
I'm gonna be honest. I have one pick, so I am actually happy I went first here. I have one.
Wow. Okay. I'll tell you, because I have 2. So maybe you don't even take one, but I'll let you know if I were to go first, the one that you were taking would have been my first. But guys, by the way, we're removing that from the wheel, so now we don't have another total. Player prop, spread, money line is all that is left. So that's huge.
Thank God. Yeah, I literally have one pick. So
yeah,
I am going with and I got burned last week by this same team in the total, but I'm gonna go with the Lions Bucks over 47. I got burned with that Lions Rams over. To be fair, that over, if you watch that game, that over should have been a lock, except for some reason Matt Stafford and the Rams, they just got the yips in the red zone. I don't know what happened. Like, they just could not score touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they got to both offenses were moving the ball pretty well. Both of them were getting in the red zone, and just touchdowns were just hard to find. But we missed, I think it was like 51.5, and it finished at 47. So we were still close, despite the fact that neither team wanted to punch it in. I think these are both defenses that are not particularly great. Detroit defensively, they gave up 23 points to the Rams, but again, like I just mentioned, they could have easily given up like 35. Like, the Rams were moving the ball on them pretty consistently. I think this Bucs offense, you saw what they did to the Eagles. I think Baker Mayfield is hitting his stride. I think they're figuring stuff out over here. I mean, the Eagles they were an absolute mess, but I do think that Tampa Bay, they can move the ball against this Lions offense pretty well. And I do think that on the opposite side, like, I know the Bucs held the Eagles to 9 points. I think that's more about the Eagles being bad than it is the Bucs defense being good. They have a decent run defense. That front four is still solid. But this defense is nothing to write home about. I think Detroit should be able to score pretty easily. For 47, you're not asking for too much. I think this is to me the easiest over of the slate.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only one, and that was the same thing last week though. But so, anyways, like I said, I would tell you this was probably my number one total pick, because again, it's the only one that jumps out off the sheet. Now, we thought that last week, and it was like, oh, yeah. I guess not. But yeah, I fully back it. I think that the Eagles collapsed versus the Bucs causing that collapse. And in that game, the one good thing you could say is that the Bucs, their offense, I've been singing that tune for a few weeks, right? Like, this Bucs offense is actually hitting their stride. Like, they are a good offense right now, and that's kind of the reason why they're here. Like, they started the season as a quote unquote good defense, right? Like, that's what we were talking about. The reason they're now in the second round of the playoffs is because of their offense and their consistency. So it's not crazy to look at an over here. And again, you're not asking for that many points, to your point. My total here is one that I think a lot of people could see this game going under, but if you look at recent play, I guess, and how the teams are going and trends between these two teams, I like the over in the Kansas City and Buffalo game. Now, it's only 45.5. If this was even 48.5 or looking for 50.5, I wouldn't touch it. So it's not like I'm thinking there's going to be 60 points scored in this game. Last two times they played in the playoffs, they did get into the 60s, high scoring games. And though I think both defenses have some sort of, I don't want to say specialty, but like the Chiefs defense has been good against the pass and pass rush. Buffalo's kind of been that gritty defense all year long without the stats to almost prove it. I do think that this becomes a Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes sort of duel. Like, I don't think Kansas City and Buffalo play each other in the playoffs with a chance to get into the AFC Championship based on their defensive ends or their run games. Like, I think this ends up being sort of a like who's got the better quarterback here, and we've seen that when they've played in the playoffs as well. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the over. Like I said, very much line dependent too. Like this could be a 27-24 type of a game and cruise over that, and that still seems very doable to me.
I don't like the pick for you. I'm going to be honest. As a champ, I can say that. I don't love this pick for you. I understand where you're coming from, but there's a couple things to keep in mind. Number one, excuse me, it's snowing again in Buffalo, so you're going to probably have a snow game. It's going to be cold, which is like not as cold as it was in Kansas City versus Miami, but it's going to be cold. The elements are going to come into play a little bit. And I wonder how much that'll affect the scoring. Also, the last two times that these teams played, the under cashed. This line cashed, including this season when they played. It was 2017. Even if you had given them that remember the play that Patrick Mahomes was crying about, the touchdown to Kelsey. Even if you give him that, the under still cashes. The thing is that Kansas City's defense is actually legit. It's top 5 in the NFL this year. And I think with that, and then Buffalo, like you said, the numbers don't really show it. A lot of that is because there are a lot of injuries. And then when they first lost these players, Buffalo really struggled, but they've really found them. Even with all the injuries, they found a way to kind of Patriot mentality of like next man up, do your job kind of thing, where it's like, hey, yeah, we lost a couple of players, but it's the next guy up. I think these are two pretty solid defenses. And I think not only that, but you have a Kansas City offense that I'm not buying it. I know they just went off on Miami a little bit. I'm not buying it at all. This Chiefs offense has struggled all year long. Travis Kelsey, he's not what he used to be. And like, if you're hanging your hat on the Chiefs receiving core, like I just don't see it. And then on Buffalo's side, yeah, their offense is better than Kansas City's, but it's also very Josh Allen dependent. And I almost want, and sometimes when they lean too heavily on Josh Allen, it kind of bites them in the ass. I don't hate it for you. I just don't love it. I would personally I would either not touch it, but if I had the gun to my head, take a side, I personally would probably take the under here. But it's not a horrible spot.
Yeah, I think the weather thing really honestly doesn't concern. If this was like for example, Miami playing in this cold environment, like these are two teams that in my brain it's like, okay, if it's terrible conditions, you're right, Tasos. You know what I mean? If it's cold, if it's even a little snowy, like that's name there's a short list of teams that are more comfortable in these environments than
True.
even these two. And then I guess on the Chiefs side of things, I think I'm buying into the Chiefs hitting their I've actually said that on the show like a couple times, right? Like I think the Chiefs are going to chief somehow at the end of the day. Like so I guess that's probably where we differ. It's like the weather doesn't matter to me, and I think Patrick Mahomes is going to Patrick Mahomes, regardless of who he's throwing to. So if that doesn't concern me, it's hard to look at this and even consider the under. But I hear you. And again, I'm using like playoff matchups between these two. More often than not, they've hit the under. I think in their last like 10 against each other, they've hit more unders than overs. Or maybe not. I don't have that up in front of me, but nonetheless,
so
playoff wise.
So they actually in the playoffs, their battle. So the last two times they hit the under. The previous few times, like you had some home run games, like 42-36 Kansas City. 38-20 Buffalo, 38-24 Kansas City. Like you had some,
and those
crazy
when those
games.
Teams are firing on all cylinders better. And I'm hoping that this is like I think both these teams are hitting their stride. So that's what I mean. Where we differ, you're looking at which credit to you makes sense. You're looking at what you've seen now. I'm saying I think these two teams are a little bit elevated from what they were even when they played that last game when it was like 20-17 or whatever. I think that they've both gotten better in the playoffs, make them a little bit better. But
I don't hate that. The only thing to keep in mind when you look at those stats is that especially for like not as much Buffalo. Buffalo is pretty much the same team. The thing with Kansas City is like Kansas City's like they had Tyreek Hill. They're receiving. Like, I don't think there's a single receiver on this team besides I guess Mecole Hardman that was there for that like last playoff game versus Buffalo. Like it's a very Travis Kelce was more in his prime. Like very different Chiefs offense. So that's the only thing I would say about the previous matchups. But
fair enough.
Like I said, it's all about like I'm not buying into the Chiefs. You kind of are, and that's kind of I think where it differs.
Yeah. All right, let's go round number 2. Like I said, we got 2 rounds and then the fade me because we have an abbreviated slate of games this week, obviously. So let's jump in here. I want a player prop. I found a little weird player prop that I don't usually like bet that stat, but I want that.
We don't this whole season. Player props have not really been a thing.
Be right on the nose as a spread.
Yep, all right, of course. Listen, hey, fade me.
I don't love the spreads.
Yeah, it's there's a couple that I like, but not
because
much.
of last week too, and the way that those games shook out, you now have 2 like massive underdogs in these. With Houston playing Baltimore, and you have Green Bay. Actually, more. Yeah, just I guess those 2 are the big massive underdogs.
Those 2 are both like 9. I think they're both 9.5. Yeah,
it's tough to look at those. You know what? I'm gonna go chalk pick. I think San Francisco wins this one pretty heavily. I think Green Bay, your team, and I know I've been betting against Green Bay and it's like worked out. I think that, at some point Green Bay feels like they've accomplished more than they should have, and they've covered this number so often. And honestly, I can say this to anyone watching and to you. It's like, I just don't like the spreads this week. So what I'm doing here is taking my talents to what I think is the best team in the NFL left. And that's what we're doing. I don't like the number. I could see them winning this by touchdown, but give me -9.5. Whatever you say, I probably would agree with, but
I think it's I'm not even gonna go into it too much. All I'm gonna say is like I can't believe that everything that's happened this season, and you continue to just keep betting against the team that I own. I mean, it's just I'm in that ownership group.
Continue to. It's literally been this is my 6th probably pick out of 19 week whatever we're on that I've probably taken something to do with the Packers. Against them. Like
last week was a really I even put it on TikTok. Like it was a very funny. Like you were like, oh, like it can't happen like this, and it's like then they score 48 points on Dallas, and it's like
they doubled up and then summed that number that I took.
I think the Niners are going to win this game 100%. I think the Niners are my Super Bowl pick. I think they're going to win this game. I think they're going to go the distance. But I think the Niners are going to win this game. It's just that 9.5 point spread. Green Bay's been playing pretty well. And then when these two teams play in the playoffs, things get a little weird. I don't know.
Mhm.
I wouldn't touch it personally. I actually don't hate. Actually, I do kind of hate it. I don't know. I just think you got a lot of balls to keep going against Green Bay.
I know.
God
But
God forbid they burn you again. God forbid they burn you
they
again.
probably will. But like when you said you don't want to touch this game, I truly do feel like that with all the other spreads. Like
That's fair.
I'm not a fan of any of those numbers. But go ahead, give me your pick before I start spoiling the beans on some stuff.
All right. I'm gonna go ahead and ride with this one. Kind of in line. I'm putting a lot of investment. Hold on. Now I'm doubting myself. There's a pick that I want to make very badly, but it's my version of Green Bay, and I'm very nervous about it. But you know what? I'm gonna go for it. Give me Texans plus 9.5 against Baltimore. The Ravens are my Packers this year. I all year long keep saying like they're not as good as they are, and then I keep getting burned. I had like $750 on the Niners when they played Baltimore. That kicked me right in the ass. Yeah, I'm gonna go Houston here. I think the long rest for Baltimore. Sometimes those teams with the bye and like Baltimore, the last week of the season they kind of punted on it. They benched a lot of their guys, so their players, a lot of their key guys like Lamar hasn't played in like 3 weeks. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not as good as people think. Houston obviously coming off a really big win against Cleveland. They're feeling good. They're flying high. I think the Ravens win this game, but 9.5 is a lot of points. I see there's some sharp action on Houston right now, that the sharps are kind of aligning with them. Again, I don't think they're going to win this game, but to cover 9.5 points, Baltimore, it's funny because for the first like 14 weeks of the season, they didn't blow anybody out. Minus, I think they blew out like the Lions once.
The Lions was
but like then the last couple weeks, they were blowing teams. Like they blew out Miami, they blew out San Francisco. Like they kind of turned into a juggernaut in the last half of the season. I don't know. It's stupid, but like I'm kind of in the same boat with you. When you look at the rest of the spreads, I don't like any of them. This is the one I guess that I see the value at 9.5 points.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. I think it's like CJ Stroud's playing like maybe the best quarterback in the playoffs left, and that's inclusive of Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson still in the playoffs. So I don't mind you catching the points, but like I said, I do think 9.5 looks like a bigger number. Whereas if the Ravens win this game, like it could be 31-21. It could be something like, you know what I mean? Like these doable numbers where that's kind of what I'm thinking for my pick too. It's like, I know it seems like a lot, but I can't say I hate it. I kind of believe that, Baltimore is going to be, like you've said before, the Cowboys of the AFC. Now they've kind of risen to the occasion multiple times. So I guess I'm more trustworthy of them to win, but I can't knock someone taking Houston in those points after how they've been playing. Like, did you see the stat of it was a quarterback to lead in touchdowns, interception ratio, and passing yards?
Yeah.
And it was only Brady and Joe Montana that had done that. And you're looking at CJ Stroud, and it's like, oh shit, at some point this is just a really good team. Like I think the Packers, like I said, were a team that, at some point they're going to be happy to be there. This Texans team, I do think has like CJ Stroud is just filthy. Like I think he's already even proven that. So I don't mind it. I just still think like it could be, I guess I'm looking at it like my pick in terms of the contrary to you, right? It's like Ravens probably the second best team left here. And if they win, I think that they could stomp. And what if Houston's complacent with where they are? But it's a tough spread week. And obviously, dude, with 4 games, like the books are on these games. You know what I mean? Like we're not going to look at this and be like, oh, we got a huge edge here because of how, scrutinized these games are. So I don't mind you catching the points. But
I do. One last point. I do think also, and I have seen this, it's another one of those things where it's like, it's a stupid stat. There's no factual science behind it, but it's just something that I've noticed is like, usually wild card weekend or divisional round, those first 2 rounds, there's one week where the games suck and it's all blowouts. And then in the week, so last year, I think it was the wild card round was all like these crazy good games and wow.
Yep.
And then we got to the divisional round and it was all blowouts. And then, last week, the only game that was like within 10 points was the Rams-Lions game. The Packers was a blowout. The Eagles got blown out. The Bills won by 2 touchdowns.
Miami
got blown out. Like there was really no games last week that were like entertaining in terms of like coming, except for that Lions-Rams. I think the reverse will happen this week. I think this week you're going to see some of these games get a little closer. And especially with these bigger point spreads, there's going to be at least one blowout this week for sure. I hate to say this because of your pick. I think if there's going to be a blowout, it'll probably be the Packers-Niners game.
Yep.
I think CJ Stroud is playing so well because I don't think the Texans are that great of a team, but the way that he's playing right now, he's so good that he elevates. He is going to be one of the next great quarterbacks. Like he elevates that entire who coming into the season would say like Nico Collins, Tank Dell, and Robert Woods is like a great receiving core. It's not, but somehow CJ Stroud makes them look like I've heard some people talk about Nico Collins like, hey, he could be a top 20 receiver, and it's like, who said that coming into the season? But because he's playing so well, now all of a sudden it's like, hey, Nico Collins, maybe he's a star receiver. Who knows?
And you know what's cool about Stroud too? Not to like completely get on top of him, but it's like Tank Dell goes down and everyone's like, well, they're gonna suck. It's like he loved him. He always threw it to him. It's like, okay, CJ Stroud's like, I'll just pick someone else. You know what I mean? And you know what? I will give your pick credit here too, because there's not a better team on the slate here that could just keep trying to score and keep trying to do well. Like CJ Stroud's on a mission. He knows, he hears the buzz. Like he's going to keep trying to be the best, right now and all of that. And if they're down 10 with 5 minutes to go, knowing they're going to lose, or whatever, 2 minutes to go, knowing they're going to lose, that you pick the team that until literally like the fat lady sings, they're going to try and score a touchdown. So
that's the other thing too, is with the weight of expectations. Baltimore, Lamar Jackson does not have a great playoff resume. And there's a lot of pressure on him coming into this season because obviously this is probably the best team he's had. I know the MVP season, they won like 14 games, but it feels like this is the best team he's had. There's a lot of pressure coming into this playoff run for him to do something. And Houston, they do kind of have that benefit of like, hey, we're not even supposed to be here. So like we have no weight of expectations. If they lose by 70, no one's really going to bother because like, hey, they're a young team. They're just getting started. First year head coach, rookie quarterback. Like no one ever thought they'd get this far. So they can come into this game knowing like, hey, whatever the hell we do here, we are already overachieving. With Baltimore, they have that weight of like, hey, we have to show out. We have to win because if we don't, changes will be coming.
That can work both ways though. It's like Houston's like who cares? That's what I mean when like these Cinderella teams like the Packers. But we'll see. I mean, I don't hate it. Like I said, we both picked games that have like the best team involved, which is like interesting because it's the biggest of spreads. You're on the underdog side of one of them. I'm on the favorite, but it's really interesting that we both picked this like biggest spread game because like obviously you have the most value getting that many points with the Texans. And I'm picking against who I believe to be the best versus the worst team left type of thing. So kind of interesting. We'll see how it plays out. But now we move on to the fade me round here. The fade me round. Whoever this wheel lands on, that person gets to make a pick. And the other person has to take the opposite side. It's as simple as that. It's been a crucial thing all year long, which makes sense because if you win, you're guaranteeing a loss for the other team. There's strategy that goes into it. Like a couple weeks, if you guys didn't know, I gave Tasos, I took like a minus 300. He had a plus 300, and he hit those twice, I think.
So, they were the Green Bay Packers, just so you guys know. They were the Baltimore
Hey, we don't
Packers,
need to mention that.
Sure.
That's like the that name should not be said because we've said it too much. But all right, I'm sure you want this fade me because you haven't.
I want it bad. I have a pick that you're gonna like it. Actually, you're gonna like it if I get it. So I'm hoping I get it.
All right, let's see what we got here.
Come on. Come on.
Nope, it's sitting right on your boy. Also, right. You'll get it sometime. I think.
I don't know when. I want to go back and watch all the videos because I feel like I haven't had fade me. I think I've had it once in the last like 9 weeks.
Probably, yeah. So, yeah, you said that you can tell me yours, what it was going to be after the fact, because I don't think that you're going to really you're going to feel pretty indifferent about mine. Like I said, it's a weird stat. But I'm looking at Baltimore Ravens player Marcus Williams, safety. Over 4.5 tackles plus assists.
With a defensive prop.
Yeah, over 4.5. I told you, you're going to be like so indifferent to this. It's like, whatever. I mean, it's you get plus 114. I have minus 145. So decently heavy. He's hit it in 6 straight games here. 7 of his last 10. Safeties in tackles against the Texans, bottom half of the league, or if you look at it from defense perspective, top half of the league opportunity wise. Yeah, that's just kind of what we're looking at here. Like I said, I said it's a weird one that I pulled out.
Yeah, I can't even know what to say to that.
Outlier helped me find this one, so shout out to Outlier.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, this is like I almost wished you got it because you said I would like the one that it'd be like more like gut wrenching. So what do we got? What Well, first you can talk about this one if you have anything to say on it.
To be honest, I don't really defensive props. I don't really know what to say against that other than
but
I
kind of like it. I've actually, so I know it's weird, but when I do my Thursday night, Monday night, during the regular season, tackles plus assists has been something that and longest receptions have been two stats that I really think there's value in because it's a lot of quantity versus quality. Like when he plays 94 to 100% of snaps in the last few weeks on the field, and that's just like getting 5 tackles plus assists. They're pretty liberal with some assists that they give out and stuff too. So that's the same thing with like longest reception. I look for guys that just get targeted deep. It's like the books don't put much. They're not putting as much like effort into that line or that line moving as Devontae Adams receptions or something like that.
Yeah.
So, but
no, the tackles plus assist props. Like sometimes, like some of these parlays that I've hit this year, it's like I just throw them in. Like, hey, yeah, we'll throw them in to boost the value a little bit. Those are the ones that honestly help me win because like it's kind of random. It's really hard because like hard to determine who's going to get tackles, who's not. I mean, you go by the trends, I guess, but like
there's 11 guys in the field that could get a tackle. It's like
I think I've hit like a 90% rate on those defensive props, and I should bet them more, but they're just not as fun. Because it's okay.
They're like you don't even notice them happening if you watch the game. You check the box score, and it's like, oh, he got an assist for that. Like you don't even know what, unless it's a solo tackle. You don't even realize you don't get
exactly.
It.
So, Sometimes I'm like, is that an assist or okay, it's an assist. Cool. He like just touched his shoulder real quick, but sure.
And like if he pushes a guy out of bounds, sometimes they don't give him a tackle. It's like the stat keepers differ from like team to team too, which is interesting. But all right, what was yours going to be? Was it going to be Chiefs something?
No, well, yeah, I was gonna take Bills money line because I think Buffalo's gonna win that game, and I thought it'd be a little fun back and forth having you. Obviously, you said you're in on the Chiefs. I'm not on them. I'm in on Buffalo. I think the Super Bowl matchup, not to spoiler it, but I think my Super Bowl match is gonna be Bills Niners.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think the Chiefs. I believe in both the Chiefs and Buffalo. You know what I mean? So like me saying I'm in on the Chiefs, meaning contribute to the over. I really don't hate. Like if I was that in on the Chiefs, I'd be like, let's do it. We could do a side bet for head to head. I don't like it's. I'm not like in on the Chiefs in the sense of they're going to beat Buffalo because I think Buffalo is hitting their stride at the right time. I wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs win, but that would have been a good competitive fade me more than this one. But this one I wanted to get in there. Like I liked this spot. I liked the opportunity, and it's like. We got player prop.
Listen, I get it. You're like the interim head coach who comes in after they fire the coach, and like you're trying to build the culture. You're trying to set the stage for next season. This season doesn't matter anymore. You're just trying to get a couple wins. Doesn't matter the draft pick. You're just trying to get some wins for next year
and get the reps in. Exactly. Yep. Like next year, I'm going to be a defensive tackle plus assist like savant. So get ready for that. This is how that starts. But all right, so the fade me officially is Marcus Williams over 4.5 tackles plus assists. Be something to monitor, I guess. At least while you're watching Baltimore Texans, that can be one that double loss for you if it goes the wrong way. But nonetheless, shouldn't matter because you've already taken the chip. So any last remarks for the people watching after? I know you're taking your victory lap, but on this episode.
I'm saving it. I'm gonna savor the victory. I know in the back of my mind I'm the winner. I know it's coming, but I'm gonna wait a little bit just for the sake, because like I feel like once I do my victory lap in the crown and everything, then I feel like the show is really over and it's like okay, then it's So I'm gonna keep playing. We're gonna ride it out, and then the last show I will give my whole victory lap, the victory lap of all victory laps.
All right, that sounds good. Well, I will save my, congratulations speech for probably never, because I think you already got it out of me. So we'll retie that. But guys, that's going to do it for this week's episode of H2H. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, hit that like button as well. If you've made it this far into the video, go ahead and comment fade me. We're recognizing those usernames that do make it far in, to appreciate the hell out of you guys. Put a lot of effort into the show. We haven't missed a single week yet. There's been times where Tasos and I have to wake up super early for scheduling or record super late, but this show's super fun. It's the main reason as to why we've seen channel growth and whatnot as well. So shout out to you guys that have supported it. And yeah, that's all I got. Anything last closing remarks?
This is the officially the shortest video in H2H video history.
Make it work. Flying through. It's early in the morning. We gotta get through it. But all right, guys, we'll catch you guys in the next one, right?